Mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now, here's Jay.
Yep, remember, 951-922-3532 is the number you want to call. Call me right now, and I won't answer because I'm on the radio. But who knows? Maybe I will. Anyway, I am very happy to be back. I took a little break last week again because, there's health issues, which Plan A didn't work out real well, so we went back with Plan B, which is just a little more aggressive. And they sent, some stuff inside me, like remember that Raquel Welch and all those people, remember when they went inside the body to fix things up? Well, they did that twice, and Monday I need to go back and have them removed. So hopefully it'll all turn out okay this time. But welcome to the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET 1490 AM, where we contemplate retirement and how to best retire and stay retired. So please call, email, or visit www.drheckham.com. And for us more long-winded people, www.theeducatedretirementradio.com, because that's what you're listening to right now, the Educated Retirement Radio. Always feel free to email me, bestloantoday@gmail.com. bestloantoday@gmail.com. So be sure to jump over to the YouTube channel. Link about halfway down the first page. There's a lot there, including all of the shows and separate segments of the guests, as well as some of the more interesting short snippets, and subscribe while you're there. There's a lot of really very well professionally written pages and information about the Heckham reverse mortgages and all that kind of good stuff. So don't you think it's about time you learned about it? We've heard about it for years and years. We hear these horrible things from people who know about it. We hear stories. We don't know who to believe. Find out. Knowledge is power. Remember back in 2008 when thousands and thousands of older homeowners lost their homes? If they had a Heckham, they probably would not have lost their home. Same could be said for these times we're going through right now. Isn't it at least time to learn to say, hey, Jay, tell me about this, or anybody else? Call somebody, anybody. Do some research. And when it comes to the Heckham or reverse, know the facts, compare the numbers. It's much too important an issue to ignore, and you certainly don't want to eliminate it based on not fully understanding it. Remember that these kind of programs, it's not a belief system, it's not a religion, it's just math, and the comfort it brings is more than numbers ever could. So with that, why? Because you need to know more about choices you really have and how to protect what you already have. I have a team of experts that can and will help you, so please make use of us. Call me and I can direct you to anyone that you've heard on this show and so many others. And look on the YouTube station because the contact information is always there. Also, I'll shout out to Ron Siegel, who has joined KMET, and I'm on his show quite a bit, usually at least once a month. And I like to think that I'm part of his household board of directors, which is what he coined, and I believe makes a lot of sense. So right now, as you know, a lot of people have a mortgage are asking for forbearance. We talked a little bit about that when we talked about 08 a few minutes ago. But those with the HELOC are seeing those HELOCs frozen and new ones are not even available. The HELOC and other reverse products, the Heckham that is different. Home equity conversion. They are available with or without a line of credit, and they can never be frozen, never canceled. And forbearance is a non-issue, but you can always make payments or interest-only payments of any kind. You know, let's call it what it is, the Intelligent Retirement Forbearance Loan. You can put it in forward, make any payment you are going to, put it in neutral, make interest-only payments, or put it in reverse and use the money for whatever else you think you can use it for. And my day job, by the way, is a loan officer at the Loan Source, NMLS number 384565, and Department of Real Estate, although I don't sell real estate, but I know some good people, and we're going to talk to Valerie today about that. 792630. And as you know, here we believe in challenging the status quo. Families and people need to be active, not reactive. And where is my producer? Today is, man, that's heavy, Watermelon Month. Now, I spent the first 200-300 years of my life not caring too much for watermelon. I have completely changed, especially after being on this, as we just broke the floor, on this hospital diet. I love it. I can't get enough. And more antioxidants than tomatoes, and the rinds have blood-building properties. The seeds are edible, full of iron, zinc, and protein. And the largest, this is not from one of these radiation movies, but the largest non-science fiction movie for a watermelon weighed about what I did before I started losing this weight, 350 pounds. So let's fit in a break, and let Shane, that's my son's name, but hi, Shane. Let Sean take it away. And welcome back here to the Educated Retirement Radio here on your home planet, 1490 KMET AM, the mighty Met. Remember, www.drheckham, that's drhecm.com. Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. Call me, 866-955-2233. 866-955-2233. Just a question, anything. Call me, call anybody. Find out what this is all about. Famous people's birthdays. Today is Donald Sutherland's birthday, who was born or popped into this world in 1935. And now what does he do on TV? He drinks orange juice, I think, and that kind of. I don't know whether it's pulp or no pulp, but he was in he has been, he's still going strong, over 107 films such as JFK, Clute, Dirty Dozen, and I'm going to do a shout out a couple of my absolute favorites that he happened to be in. MASH, for one. That was a Robert Altman masterpiece. And I don't know about you, but I never really got into the TV program MASH because the movie was so great. I don't ever remember them giving Altman a lot of credit for that, but that was great. Now, another one by Nicholas Roeg was called Don't Look Now. And to me, that's a real psychological thriller. I mean, I think it came out around the same time as The Exorcist, so it had no... it got way back seat in the thing, but I really highly, it's with Julie Christie, really, really good and scary also. And done by Nicholas Roeg, who also did The Man Who Fell to Earth with David Bowie. And of course, he, meaning Sutherland, was also in the remake of The Invasion of the Body Snatchers in 1978. Is this that one? Yep, it is. Now, personally, I like the original one. I think the original one's really cool. But this was good, too. Then there was, Jeff Goldblum. I think they've done at least 4 or 5 of them since the thing. But as a child, as an urchin, Sutherland suffered hepatitis, rheumatic fever, and polio, and his first job was as a radio correspondent, just kind of like me. I am a radio correspondent now for a local radio station in St. John, New Brunswick, and eventually graduated in drama and won a Lifetime Achievement Oscar in 2018. Now, his son, Kiefer, of course, was in a whole lot of movies of his own, but one a real standout, and again, Dark City. Did you see Dark City, Sean?
That does not sound familiar, no.
I'm going to highly recommend Dark City from Alex Proyas. Roger Ebert named it the best film of the year of 1998. Just a total standout, but so be it. Look it up. Earl Stanley Gardner also popped out of this world, or into this world, in 1889, and he left in 1970. So he was an American lawyer. I mean, he was a real lawyer. He didn't just write Perry Mason. And author of true crime, I don't know about true, but crime, best known for the Perry Mason courtroom dramas. And as a trial lawyer, he defended poor people and immigrants from his offices in Ventura, California. Excuse me. There's still a plaque on the building right there in downtown Ventura. And if you haven't been to downtown Ventura in quite a while, it's worth a trip. You can take the train right there, walk up a couple of blocks, really neat places. Lots and lots of really interesting things. And where's that place we really like? Paradise Bakery, right? That's, I think, my wife's favorite grilled cheese sandwich is Paradise Bakery right there on the main drag. But Earl Stanley Gardner founded something called the Court of the Last Resort, dedicated to people who were unfairly imprisoned. So he really helped a lot of people and apparently made his money not from lawyering, but from Perry Masoning. And of course, in his spare time, he wrote Pulp Fiction. And Perry Mason ran for 80 novels. He wrote 80 Perry Mason novels using two fingers on a typewriter. And the name Perry Mason came up from one of the first pulp magazines he was writing for. The publisher's name was Perry Mason. And let me ask you a question here, Sean, if you're listening. Do you know if Perry Mason ever lost a case?
I believe he did, didn't he?
He did lose one, only one.
Yeah.
And that was the case of the witless witness. And speaking of witless here, so remember, in this time that the black swan is out there, and you know exactly what I mean, okay? If you do not realize how much more you can be protected, call. With a retirement mortgage, whether you're retired or more, call me, create those great memories now. And on that note, let's just take a little slip over and take a break so we can get back. We've got a good guest that's going to talk about everything real estate, so that we're going to give some more time for that. Take care of yourselves. Talk to you soon. Hey, if that was Ron Siegel, I like Ron too. Good friend of mine. Listen to his show. Anyway, welcome back. 1490 AM. This is the Educated Retirement Radio. And, you know, with this uncertainty, we need to stabilize our environment, meaning it's time to empower ourselves, our retirement for now, for the future, for all the time. Uncertainty needs to be kicked out, peace of mind, and something you can count on always being there for you. That is what needs to be in. Remember that a HECM, home equity conversion, means you are not only giving your liquidity, You are only giving your equity liquidity. Tripped on myself, but it's less. I can't trip on myself as easily as I used to when I was 50 pounds heavier. What I'm really trying to say there is if you do get like a reverse mortgage, you're not necessarily taking money out. You're making it liquid so that you may be able to take it out on those bad years or those years when you need it and then be able to put it on back. Now, a couple of things happened on this day in history. One is the televised grand opening of Disneyland in 1955. And the other, we've talked about movies a lot on this show. North by Northwest premiered on this day in 1959. But, and I hope Chris Bissonette is watching. This segment is dedicated to Chris. This is, what is this again?
Well, on the 20th is
this is
anniversary of the moon.
Oh, let me get. America salutes first men on the moon, voyage to the moon. Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins, July 20th. So what do you think of that? That's pretty cool, huh? Now, Sean, I was going to ask you where you were, but maybe I shouldn't. Do most people remember where they were when they were watching the moon landing?
1969. I was about 2 weeks away from being born.
So you're a little fuzzy on that?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I was in a city in the south part of France on the Mediterranean called Perpignan in a bar, but I do remember it specifically. So we have a report from NASA Nelly again about the specifics of what happened. Well, there's the Stanley Kubrick specific, but then this is the NASA Nelly specific of what happened. So
now we are approaching the anniversary of the moon landing. Remember that? American astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins left the Earth on Apollo's 11 Command Module Columbia on July 16, 1969, headed to the moon. About 3 days later, on July 20th, Armstrong and Aldrin left that craft and onto the lunar module of the Eagle and landed on the moon's surface while Collins continued to fly alone in the lunar orbit. He was dubbed as the loneliest man in the world, or should we say, out of this world. 6 hours and 39 minutes after landing, Armstrong stepped onto the surface with Aldrin joining him 19 minutes later. Over 600 million people all over the world watched the televised event. They spent a little over 21 hours on the moon before lifting off to rejoin Columbia. Now, did you know that the Krispy Kreme served their donuts at the launch at Kennedy Space Center? Did you know that the first moon meal was bacon and coffee? Did you know that the flag they put on the moon was ordered from Sears? And also, the astronauts collected 47 pounds of moon material on their first trip.
And when they come back?
A couple of days later.
Oh. Oh, okay.
We've got this too.
Well, yeah, and in case you didn't know, there was absolute proof of landing on the moon.
Here's a picture.
There's a picture. And it's an album, actually. It's a picture album. So there. I don't know that I have ever played this album, but I think it's kind of cool that we found it. And one thing, I forgot your name again. NASA Nelly. You were talking about Michael Collins,
yes.
And that, you might want to say something about him.
Right.
That he was not really forgotten, but he was the guy that, rolled around by himself while everybody else was getting the notoriety.
But he was dubbed as the loneliest man in the world at that time. But he said that's not true.
No, I would have liked to have been up there. But you know what? You know how many years ago that was? I would have thought we would have been vacationing on Mars by now. Don't you, Sean? I mean, look at all this time that's gone by. So, I don't know. We'll get into it. That has more to do with real estate. And
It does make you wonder why we haven't at least gotten back to the moon.
I know. Well, maybe those books. Remember, I said somebody else is there already. Who knows? But that has to do with real estate, and we're going to talk with real estate with Valerie van de Zilver, and maybe we'll get into talking to her about buying land and vacation land on the moon. So get your pens and paper together to get ready to write down these moon landing vacation spots. And until then, we'll see you back in just a couple minutes. Take care and hang on. Talking about moon rocks. I was asking NASA and Nelly for a couple of moon rocks, and that's what they look like. Pretzels with peanut butter in them. They come right from the moon, but I'll wait on that. Anyway, Valerie. Hello, Valerie.
Hello. Thank you for having me this afternoon.
No, thank you for being here. And
as you
recall, a few months ago, Valerie was on and gave us a great story about her husband's adventure on a road rally from Peking to Paris, I believe. Was that it?
That's exactly right.
And that took up most of the time. We didn't take up a lot of time on what we're going to try to talk about some more today, which is real estate. Everything to do with real estate. Now, Valerie has been in the real estate business for a very long time, ever since she was like 12 years old, right, Valerie? So
exactly. Yes, that's very true. A little older than 12, but not much. Reverse the numbers since I was 21, actually.
Yeah. And we used to work together many years ago, and I should say several years ago, okay? And and learned a great deal, I think I have, from Valerie over the years. But she has her own business right now and has had for quite a while, and really specializes in everything from, well, even vacation homes, buying homes, selling homes, investment, the whole gambit of everything. And I thought it would be a really good time now, given that we're in this weird overall COVID-19 situation, which, keeps us home more than we'd like to, but it also keeps us from interacting business-wise more than we would like to. It keeps us from looking at new homes as much as we would like to. But it also makes us stop and think about what we're really doing and why we should really be doing it. So from that point of view, I kind of want to attack a lot of these questions and just about everything that comes to mind when it comes to real estate. For instance, is this a good time to be looking to move if you're thinking of moving at all? Is it a good time to be looking at upgrading, or is it a good time to be downsizing? Is it a good time to be looking at different areas? Everything having to do with that conversation. So whatever's on your mind to start with, go ahead, Valerie, and let me know what you think about any of those topics.
I think that it definitely is a time to, I've heard many people use the term pivot as far as from a business standpoint, but I think it's a time to pivot personally, There are many things that we all have just lived with day after day after day, be it our home or our office or our car or our work situation or our exercise routines, and all of those things are disrupted. Nothing is the same as it was. Our kids don't go to school every day. We've got people who all of a sudden found out that they're now having to teach their kids and stay home and try to do their work. We don't get to go to church. We can't get our hair cut. We can't get our nails done. Grocery stores aren't the same. We go into grocery stores, but the products we used to buy aren't there. I went into Marshall's after they were closed for 3 months, and the aisles are twice as wide, so there's half as many products are there. So the point is that nothing is the same, and it's a really good time to evaluate things. I know in my case, for example, I've been in the same office as you know, Jay. I've been in the same office and where I am for almost 25 years.
Wow.
And never, ever, ever thought that I would leave here. And I'd made the rent every single month by myself as a small, independent, female-owned business. I've operated 3, 4, 5 businesses out of this location. But now I'm sitting here thinking, well, is this really what I need to do? And I have some properties that we've maintained for a long time, that we've kept for 10 to 12 years. And now we're thinking, is that really what we need to do? So I think that not only from a real estate standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, it's a good time to pivot. And with that then is deciding, do I need this big house? And do I want to be closer to my grandchildren? And now kind of like, what are the really important things in my life? And if I can't have the same routine as I used to have, what would I like it to look like? And if I can't have it back, when this whole thing started, I think you probably would agree, and many of your listeners probably would too, we thought it was going to be 3 months. For whatever reason, we thought it was going to be 3 months. The government thought it was going to be 3 months. The PPP program and the EIDL programs, all of those things. The PPP program was never based on the fact that we weren't going to be able to make our payroll for a year. It was based on 8 weeks, right?
Right.
And now here we are in this situation. I've used that PPP, and now what am I going to do? Because I don't have any more PPP money, but I can't open my business either. It's certainly what a lot of people are thinking. So if if your life can't be the same, it just is a good time to take a second look at things like, do I need this big house? What's important to me? Would I rather be with my family? Do I want to live in California anymore? And that's certainly, I've heard that question many times.
These questions come up a lot, but
that.
they don't have the immediacy that they do now.
That's right. That's right. I would have never thought about making some of the changes that I am now. For example, making my office rent. I paid my office rent every single month, and I've been an independent business owner. That's all I've done, and it never occurred to me to not have this office. Now I'm thinking, is that really what I need to do? By the way, I'm not planning on leaving my office, but the point is that things change, right? And if you're going to have to work at home and school your children, what does that mean? And as a grandparent, for example, are you interested in taking on some of those responsibilities because your children just can't work and school their children? And what role can you play? So a couple of things I'm seeing happen is the real estate market overall is really hot. It's really hot. As much as we all complain about California, everybody wants to live here. And
I know there was so much rumor about that the prices are going to fall out the bottom.
No,
and that didn't happen.
Not at all. It has not. Multiple offers on many, many, many properties. I've got a $450,000 home in Chino Hills that we sold with multiple offers. I've got a $950,000 house in Anaheim that we sold with multiple offers, and that is the reality of the marketplace. So people are realizing that the interest rates are low, and I think people think that we should take advantage of it. And I think a lot of people are concerned about the certainty going forward. A lot of people are concerned about what's going to happen with the election in the fall and other things that we see happening in not only just politics, but in our life. A lot of things have never affected us. They happened other places. That'll never happen to me. You know, when I have
Right.
a client who owns a couple of properties that I manage, and he's from China, and he was here in February staying in his home, and I said, well, how is this, virus doing? He said, oh, in Wuhan, it's really bad. It's really bad. And he got home and texted me and said, do you have masks? And I said, no. No, he said, well, you should have some. In so many words, he said, at your age, you really should have masks. So the point is, he shipped me masks from China. I thought, well, that's interesting. How nice of him, right? Oh, little did we know in February and March and even April the impact this was going to have on us. So the important thing is to take a look at that now and to
I think we're still coming to grips with what the impact is. I don't think we still have a clear picture of what it's doing to each and every one of us. I've always worked at home. I love to get out. I drive all over California. I can't do that. So that's a change for me. But other than that, I'm used to working out of the house, but I'm also used to working face to face with a lot of people. So that is different, but it's not probably nearly as different as many of the people you're speaking about.
And there, I think that we all have. In fact, I'm writing a book, and I wrote a chapter on this. The emotions that we felt when this started. For me, for example, I was angry because we managed vacation rental properties, and we had people that sat here and canceled their spring break trips and wanted full refunds. I thought, the audacity of those people. If they expect full refunds, after all, they made a reservation, and our policy says that they don't get a refund if they cancel within 60 days, and they're coming next week and they want a refund. And I sat here in my office for weeks refunding people. I probably have processed almost 300 refunds of people who planned on coming to Southern California and or Disneyland. So my first reaction is I was angry. How dare them? They expect us to break the rules just because they've changed their mind. Well, little did I know then the impact. People who leave Canada, if they go home, they're on quarantine for 2 weeks. So then they can't go back to work. So what's their interest in coming here for a vacation if when they go back home, they're in quarantine for 2 weeks, they can't go back to work, and then if they test positive, who knows what's going to happen? Right. And then we had travel banned between Europe and here. So first I was angry. Then I thought, maybe there is something to this. And then the politics started getting involved. And now I'm starting to feel sorry for people when they cancel because they're saying to me, we want to come, but we need that money back. We've lost our jobs. We'd love to come to Disneyland, but Disneyland's not opening, and we need our money back.
And besides, Disneyland's expensive, as you know. And every little thing. People need to pay their rent. They're not paying their rent. The landlords need to pay their house payments. It goes right up the ladder, right up and down the ladder. Everybody is involved. So
exactly. So I'm certainly, preaching to the choir here. I'm sure everybody on this call is having their own issues and dealing with their families in their own way. And then if you've got someone that goes to the hospital, if they're being reminded to think about it a little bit, we're not giving complete answers. We're just making sure that people are actually thinking about how it really is affecting them today, even if they haven't come to grips with it completely, and then what to do as the future rolls on. Exactly. So let's say, for example, that you have a loved one who's in a nursing home or someone who's got some potential of illness, and if they had to go to the hospital, you couldn't see them. What could you do to prepare yourself for that? And those are things
I was in the
about.
hospital for 3 weeks, lately. Well, and no 2 weeks in, 1 week out, and then no 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out, and then a week in. No visitors. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And so for those people, for example, at my age, I'm considered high risk. So I wanted to volunteer for an event in one of the cities here, and I wasn't allowed because I was over 55, and I was hurt by that. So do we need to make some decisions that, if, for example, if this was a time that you could get a reverse mortgage, for example, and you never thought you needed it, should you think ahead and should you pivot again and prepare for those things? What
Well,
if someone
almost
was
nobody
put in
ever
a nursing
thinks they
home
need a
and you
reverse
couldn't
mortgage.
take care? Yeah,
That's
I know.
the time
I know.
that you want to, because like I've said, a reverse mortgage doesn't mean you're taking money out of your house and giving it to you. It means you're making it liquid. And that gives you
Right.
so much more choices and so much more peace of mind. And even if I got a friend who just called back east, he said the prices were plummeting. I'm not sure if that's true where he's at or not. But if prices are going down, what better way to hedge against that than have a reverse mortgage with a line of credit, which is increasing even if your value is going down? So you always have the protection that you had when you first
Exactly right.
started, and it continues to grow. So, I mean, even if you
And
don't
if the
know, and I
stock
don't think
market
anybody
goes,
knows exactly what they want to do. I know I don't. But if the more
but if the stock
choices you
market goes
have,
down,
the more comfortable you
but
are
the stock,
making those choices.
right. If the stock market goes down, that's cash you lose. You can't get that back the next day.
Right.
But if you think that you want to hedge yourself or you want to have protection, then, and we're just using this as an example, reverse mortgage is certainly one thing to do. So, for example, some of my colleagues invest in what's called Delaware Statutory Trust, a DST. Instead of a 1031, you invest in a DST, and you would think that that should generate cash because it's supposed to. But those entities, some of those stopped paying. They just notified the people, we're not going to pay you for the next several months. So, what can you do to make sure that you're protected? What if your family member can't go back to work? What if their income is interrupted? What if your kids need money for something and you want to help them? These are things we have to make decisions and think about things that we didn't think we would need.
Absolutely. And, like we've been talking for many years that if you do have a portfolio, not like mine just has pictures in it, but if you're living off your portfolio or your investments, you have a bad year, don't sell. Don't change everything to cash because you're going to end up losing a lot. Take some cash-free money from your equity and then pay it back when you need to and just keep on chugging away. But that gives you the choices.
Yes. And wouldn't we all much rather have choices than be in situations where we don't have a choice? And we're hopeless
no choice
and
is like
don't know
back
what to
into
do.
a corner, like a trapped animal. That you don't want. That's the last thing you want.
No. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that certainly would be my advice. And one other bit of advice I'd like to give everyone today is people, we all need to have ID protection. And I'm seeing a lot of fraud right now, and I guess no good crisis goes unused or something like that. Well,
exactly.
All
It comes out of the woodwork.
And one of my clients is a respected attorney, has a great business, and I said, you need to take care of this. And he said, you mean those commercials I hear on the radio, or people really do that? And I say, yes, they do. So there's a couple of companies we can recommend. LifeLock is one, although there's another company that I think does a little bit better job than that. But the other thing
Valerie, your picture is on the screen, and your site address is there too. But for those people who aren't watching right now, before we go much further, why don't you give out all of your contact information, because I'm sure people are going to want to continue this conversation. This is kind of a general conversation, but I think it opens up lots of doorways.
Well, I can be reached on I have a couple of ways. The easy way is my cell phone, which is 714 area code 334 9156. Let me repeat it. It's 714-334-9156. You can also reach me you can call me, or you can text me, or email me. My email is Valerie, Valerie, at valeriev.com. My last name is Vandezover, starting with a V. So my email is Valerie at valeriev.com. And I would love to help anyone who has any questions about any of these issues. Of no obligation, of course, but this is a time when we need to reach out to each other and lean on someone who we trust to help us, because there are plenty of people out there wanting to give you information that you shouldn't be trusting.
Yeah, this is a good time to have these kinds of discussions. The more, the better, really. And I really like your key point when you said pivot. Because you have to ask yourself, okay, what if things are going to change forever? What if they're not? What if they will go back? Did you still want to pivot anyway? I mean, those are things I'm thinking of. Because these are like little stepping stone periods of time where you can't just keep sliding. You have to actually stop and make a decision.
Right, and a lot of us have lived in homes that we either were too big, we didn't need them, or we wanted to be closer to family members in other states, or, I would love to live out of state where the cost of living is less expensive. Any of those things, now is a good time to do it, because we don't know if things will ever come back to normal, and we don't know what the new normal will be.
That's for sure. Somebody like me, I never knew what normal was, but I mean...
Well, listen, you remember we worked together, so that's two of us.
But we are happy to see that prices are holding their own. Real estate is really selling. So if in fact you are thinking of selling, don't put this out of your mind because of this COVID thing. It's not slowing it down at all. But, again, you have to make those choices. What do you want to happen? And where do you want to be situated, both mentally and physically, when things get back to whatever the new normal is going to be? And you have to start thinking about that now.
Excuse me. There's another thing to think about is some people don't want to sell their homes because they don't want people walking in their house. They want their homes to be protected. They want to be sure that no one's bringing the virus into their home.
Right.
And that certainly is a very valid concern. So we have taken immediate and drastic steps to protect people. We don't have regular open houses. We don't let anyone come into the home unless they have been pre-qualified. No looky-loos anymore. That is a thing of the past. And when guests come into a home, they have to wear booties and gloves and masks. They have to have a pre-approval letter, not just a pre-qual, but a pre-approval letter, and they sign a form that says that they realize they're taking responsibility for coming into your home. They don't touch anything before anyone comes into the home. We go through the house with our own gloves on. We open doors, turn on lights so that nobody touches anything in a home anymore. And only 2 people are allowed in a home at a time. And everything's by appointment only.
Good.
So for anyone who's concerned that they don't want strangers walking through their home and bringing that into their home, we certainly take serious steps to protect the seller as much as possible.
We should. As we all should. It's too bad we don't have quicker testing, but they made me take because I'm going back to the hospital Monday just to get, those hardware out of me. And they insisted I had a COVID-19 test before I did that. So I went Tuesday. I was expecting this thing about 6 feet long to go up my nose, but there was nothing to it, really. Nothing at all. And I'm clean for now.
Well, good. Good.
So there. And besides, I scrubbed the microphone here, too, so nobody listening is in trouble.
Well, that's good.
But, it's been a pleasure. Time is going by, and it's always a pleasure talking to you. And you always bring up things that we really, really need to talk about. And we haven't even scratched the real surface of a lot of these things. So hopefully we'll do this again very, very soon. And, we're planning on doing some other things together also, which we'll be starting to do. I got a little behind because of my situation, but, so be it. That's outside of the COVID-19 realm, but so be it. But we all have these little things that come out of left field and hit you that you're not ready for. But I guess, in a way, I hate to say blessing, but in a way, we've been given an opportunity to stop and really consider what we really, really want in life and what we really may or may not want to pivot on. And whether you want to look at that as an opportunity or whatever, it's there, and we have to take it seriously.
Yes, we have to take this situation very seriously for a lot of reasons.
And go ahead and give we're going to have you back again soon. But in the meantime, go ahead and give your contact information again. I really appreciate it. I think we've had a great conversation. I hope everybody has enjoyed it like I have. And we have. But go ahead and give your contact information. We got about 30 seconds to go.
Great. So it's 714 area code 334-9156. And my name is Valerie. So 714-334-9156. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure, and I have really, really enjoyed it. And I'm sure that all the listeners have too. And thank you too, Sean, and everybody out there. Really, really appreciate it. Stay safe and have a great week. Bye-bye.